Praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. John 5:39. Little talkie. Got popped it.
It says, search the scriptures for any of you think you have eternal life, and there they will testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I have come in my Father's name, you receive me not. If another should come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from Elohim only? Do not think I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuses you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For if you had believed Moses, you would have believed in me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my word?
Luke chapter 17 and verse 25.
It say, but first he must suffer many things and be rejected of his generation.
Pause. Go back to Philippians 3 and 10. Philippians 3 and 10. But make it verse 8. Philippians 3 and 8.
It says, Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of the Mashiach, Yahushua my master, for whom all things I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win the Mashiach.
How many of y'all right now can sincerely say exactly what he said out of his mouth, that you feel the exact same way? So clearly I must be talking to the walls and to myself. Philippians 3 and 8. Read it again.
He said, and I found in him not having my own righteousness.
3 and 8. 3 and 8.
It says, ye doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of the Mashiach, Yahushua my master, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them as dung, that I may win the Mashiach.
How many of y'all in here sincerely feel that you think the exact same way that what he just stated? That you count anything that you had before the word as refuse, as dung, as excrement, so that you could get the knowledge of Elohim. This goes what I was talking to y'all about last night. Continue. I seen you, Steph. Continue.
It says, and be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through faith of the Mashiach, the righteousness of Elohim, by faith.
Go ahead.
That I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings.
That you may know the power
of the resurrection.
Of his resurrection. What else?
And the fellowship of his sufferings.
What else?
And be made conformable unto his death.
Now go back to Luke 17 and 25. What they doing to you over there, baby? What they doing to you? Little Mike, get up out that floor and sit down somewhere.
Come here.
It says, but first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation.
See, that's the key thing if you want to say you want to have fellowship with his suffering. He said he had to suffer many things and be what? Rejected. Rejected. How many of y'all like rejection? I wouldn't think anyone in here would like rejection. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's an innate human quality that people desire rejection. You know, that's why a lot of people don't, that's why a lot of men don't approach women, is fear of rejection. That's why a lot of people don't get into business, because they don't want to hear no. You know what I'm saying? They hear a lot of no's and they get discouraged. You know what I'm saying? And then they stop, not knowing that yes could be right around the corner. But when it comes to the word, you should desire being rejected. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if you are accepted, that means you accepted by the wrong things. See, I mentioned to y'all on this Wednesday, we're going to read it in a different fashion than what I did Wednesday. 1 Peter chapter 1. Give me verse 20. Because I know not too many people want to be rejected. Just like you mentioned, like I said, everybody want people to be their friend. Everybody want people to like them. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to. If somebody walking around talking about, I want to be rejected, that's a miserable person. Of course, you don't really care if people like you or not. You will hope if you're confident in yourself. But at the end of the day, don't nobody want to be rejected and shunned by anybody. If you say that, you a liar. Do you know what I'm talking about? But when it comes down to the word, you're supposed to be ready for that, because that's a part of having fellowship with his sufferings, is being rejected. See, that's the part that make people turn away and walk away because they get rejected. People don't want to fool with you no more. So then you go to looking back at the people that don't fool with you no more, and you an idiot. Because we're going to look at what I told you last night. Ain't none of y'all walked away from eternal life. Ain't none of y'all walked away from heavenly riches. Not one person in this room. That's what he walked away from. You walking away from death, and you trying to hold on to it. And that doesn't make any sense. You say you want life, but you got to walk away from death to get life, but you trying to hold on to death and grab life with the opposite hand. Now tell me how that makes sense. When the person you say you believed in walked away from life to die so you could get life so you wouldn't have to be dealing with death no more. So you don't have no excuse for not walking away. You know what I'm saying? You'll get over it. You know what I'm saying? We read it last night. He said, I separated you so you could be mine. So when you read, this is what Paul is telling you. I count this stuff as dung because I want to belong to Elohim. So when you reach back, you're really telling him, I don't want you. I don't want you to want me. I want to stay over here. And that's retarded. This is how I told you last night, right? What nigga you know gonna knock on the jailhouse door and say, let me in? What nigga you know gonna run up to the penitentiary and say, let me in? I want to be locked up and be a slave. I want to be in bondage. And that's what we doing when we reaching back to sin and reaching back to the world. You asking to go back to jail. You've been set free. Now you want to go get locked back up. I've been out of prison 9 years, boy. I ain't did nothing. I'm not trying to go back and deal with that. For what? 70 niggas every day? This man tell you when to pee. This man tell you when to eat. This man tell you when you can bathe. One of them dudes once got on the thing and said, okay, now you got 30 minutes before you can go potty. It's grown men in here. It's night time, lights out. It's grown men in here. And a man is telling you go potty. You know how degrading that is? All jokes aside, you know how degrading that is to stand in a line with a bunch of butt naked men and have to spread your butt for a man to look into? Talking about is you snuggling in drugs or weapons? You know how humiliating that is? And that's how you should feel about it if you're dealing with sin. You know how humiliating that is? And you reaching back to that, like, it may sound funny. I'm not being funny. They literally make you do this when you come in the reception center. These people make you strip butt naked and put your forehead on a bench and spread your butt open for a man to look into. To see if you got drugs in your butt or guns or knives in your butt. This is no exaggeration. You know how humiliating that is as a man that you have to do that? And you think I'm going to subject myself to something like that? Did this man feel like he can slap the fire out of me when he get ready because he got on a brown outfit and I got on a blue one? That's humiliating. Man, look at me. I hate people from Jacksonville. I'm forgetting where I'm at. I'm like, Crockett, that sounds like a personal problem. You know what I'm saying? Now, he could have took off and, oh, let me get on the radio and call all these people. And that's what you doing when you fool with sin and you fool in the world. You asking to be beaten down. You asking to be bonded. You asking to be thrown in the box. You asking to be fed nothing and get nothing and die a miserable and horrible death. Alone and destitute. Because without Elohim, you are alone and destitute. Period. Go ahead, sir.
You said 1 Peter 1
and 20.
It said, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in the last times for you.
For you.
Who by him do believe in Elohim that raised up from the dead and gave him esteem, that your faith and hope might be in Elohim.
So that's the whole purpose of these sufferings. If you have fellowship with his sufferings and you become conformable to his death, then your faith and hope is in Elohim and not a man. See, that's why I told you that last night. You're supposed to prove a man. I ain't got to prove Elohim. He ain't got to prove nothing to me because he done already done that. You know what I'm saying? Man got to prove it. So I got to know this is what you want. Because, boy, you can make your mouth fry fish, boy. Nigga tell you anything. Nigga sell all type of dreams out here on these streets. Do you know what I'm saying? All types of them. Continue, sir.
Seeing ye have purified your souls, obeying the truth through the Ruach until...
See, that's another thing, too, we're going to sit back and look at. Your soul would be purified if you went through these sufferings. Why would your soul be purified? Who would know the answer to that question? So what? But why? I mean, that's again, we already mentioned. So why is your soul purified? That fire, what does fire do? It refines. See, and I said, and it was something from out my memories, right? Something that lukewarm can never get hot enough to refine anything. Do you know what I'm saying? See, when your service lukewarm, you're not hot or cold, but you in the middle because you're playing over here and you're playing over there and you're reaching over here. You can never be made perfect. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick a side of the line you're going to be on. You know what I'm saying? Then you have to look at it like this here, right? Pretty much everybody in here married. Screw what your husband or your wife got going on. Let them niggas go to hell on their own. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want to sit back and do what they got to do, what that got to do with you? What that got to do with you? What that got to do with you? Absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely nothing. You still supposed to do your duty as a husband or a wife, but shoot, that nigga going to hell on his own. I pray for him. I pray for him. That's about it. Don't let your quote-unquote love for another person take you to hell, because now you are a certified idiot. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much I love you. I don't care how long we've been together. I don't care how many kids we got. You're going to have to take that trip by yourself. You're going to have to take that trip by yourself. I will not let your inability to serve Yahuwah deter me from my ability to do it, because that's a personal problem with you. See, I came in this world through my mama's womb by myself, and I'm going to go in this casket by myself. So what you do while I'm still breathing, that ain't got nothing to do with me when it come down and serving my God. That's on you, buddy. Do you know what I'm saying? When you go ahead and you let that affect you and you join along with it, that's because you wanted to go to hell with him. That's all that was. Don't scream out, but I loved him, though. Ain't that much love in the world. Not to go to hell. Not to lose out on your reward. Ain't that much love in the world. I don't love nobody that much. I don't love myself that much to lose that reward. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, boy, your love and loyalty is supposed to be to Yah first. Not your wife, not your husband, not your children, not your friends, not your mama, not your daddy, but to Yah first. You know what I'm saying? Period. If you want to show him how much you love him, let that where your loyalty lie at. Go ahead. Yeah, we still.
We at 23. Or 22. Mm-hmm. Seeing you have purified your souls and obeying the truth through the Ruach unto unfeigned love of the brother. Mm-hmm. See that ye love one another with a pure heart fervently. Being born again, not of corruptible seed.
Not of corruptible seed.
Mm-hmm. By the word of Elohim, which liveth and abideth forever.
What that last verse say though?
For all flesh is as grass.
As grass.
And all the esteem of man is as a flower of grass. Mm-hmm. And the grass withereth, and the flower thereof falleth away. But the word of Yahuwah endureth forever. And this is the word by which the Besorah is preached to you.
How Hamashiach coming back? And with what? Fire. What happens to grass to make it wither away? Heat. So see this right here? See this going to wither away. But if that word is right there, then that word can transport through the fire and come out on the other side unscathed. Like you know them 3 children in that furnace? Because the word was with them. That it wasn't no gasolines, no smell of smoke, no smell of fire, no nothing. Nothing burned them. That's how it's going to be when the Mashiach come back here. He tell you that in Psalm 91, you see thousands of people falling at your right hand and to your left. Won't none of that touch you. You know what I'm saying? And that comes from having fellowship with the suffering. Because I tell you right now, if every last one of you niggas want to disobey and go to hell, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I guarantee you I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I don't care what none of you niggas do when it comes to that. You bet that. I'm not going to hell for none of you niggas. You know what I'm saying? And if people can take that how they want to take it. Well, I ain't going to hell for none of you niggas. Meaning, if I know if I am firsthand aware you doing something you got no business, I bet I let you know you stupid for doing that. You need to stop. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you the truth, and I ain't going to tell you no lie, because I'm not going. That's what I mean on that one there. I ain't going to hell behind pacifying and tickling niggas' ears so niggas can feel comfortable about what they got going on. I'm not going to hell for that. So I got an answer for that. I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I don't love y'all that much. Not to put my own soul in jeopardy to be liked, to be accepted. But do you know how easy it is that how you can multiply how many people listen to you to the word if you just tone it down a notch? See, when you go to talk about sin and accountability, that make niggas flee like roaches with the lights on. Do you know what I'm saying? Because people don't really want that. And then they don't realize that when they try to claim culture, love, faith, and this, that, and the third, that preaching against sin and accountability is a part of that. Because Elohim is an Elohim of love, and his love is to hold you accountable. He said, as a father chastened his son in whom he delight, so therefore he loved you enough to chasten you and correct you, to hold you accountable, so that you would no longer walk in a behavior that he would find to be reprehensible to him. That's how much he loves you. You don't love your child if you let them do what they want to do. You don't. You know what I'm saying? And I guarantee you, if you run across somebody who grew up and people let them do whatever they wanted to do, when they got older, they'll tell you, I felt like my mom and daddy didn't love me. I just had somebody tell me they used to tell their people, please straighten me, because they knew inherently that this is what you ain't supposed to let me do what I want to do. That's not love. You ain't being a friend because you turn your head to what a nigga doing, or you agree with a nigga because you don't want that nigga to be upset. That nigga will be all right. You should not want your friends to agree with everything that you do. That doesn't mean they don't like you or they hating because they don't agree with it. Their perspective on it may be different. You're supposed to be mature enough to handle your friends having a different perspective on something than you. Even if it pertains personally to you. If you say, bro, what you think I should do with this right here? I don't think you should do that. Why not? This is how I see it. Oh, you can do, okay, I hear what you're saying. And actually take it under advisement. The first thing we do is we take it personal. You take it personal. You taking it personal because you already got it set in your mind you're going to do what you want to do. So what did you ask for? You know what I'm saying? If you already got it set in your mind you're going to do what you want to do anyway, why did you ask a nigga's opinion? Why did you ask a nigga's counsel if you wasn't even going to take it under advisement? Don't even ask. You know what I'm saying? People do that all the time. People come to you, what do you think I should do according to the word with this here? And then do the opposite. So why did you ask? You shouldn't have even asked. How many of you have done that in your lifetime? I know everybody in this room done did it. I know everybody in this room done asked somebody their opinion on something and did the exact opposite of what that person told you, and you knew what they were telling you was right. You know what I'm saying? I just told you about that the other day, but I let them know that I know y'all right, but I'm finna try it anyway. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never tell them they were wrong. They say, boy, don't you do that, boy. I say, I know, boy, but I'm hurting, boy. I'm gonna try it. They say, boy, you dumb if you do it. I say, I know it, but I got to roll the dice. I never told them they were wrong. I agree with them 100%. I just said I'm willing to take this risk, though. Do you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, niggas still didn't listen to them, regardless if you acknowledge that they're correct or not. You know what I'm saying? But you got to sit back and look at it. If you ask somebody their opinion on something, that means you value their judgment enough to ask them. And if you value their judgment enough to ask them, and then they tell you something, and you know it's correct, and you don't listen, then you just showed yourself to be a strong, mentally and emotionally immature person. I ain't gonna say stupid, but immature. Because you weren't mature enough to take that information under advisement from somebody's opinion who you value. That's a sign of immaturity. That's not a sign of stupidity. You know what I'm saying? That's just a sign of I'm not mature enough to take hearing what I don't want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Come on back to Luke 17 and 25. Because I got to crank it up.
26.
Read 25 again.
It said, but first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. Mm-hmm. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man.
Go ahead.
They did eat and drink, and they married wives, and they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
Yeah.
And the flood came and destroyed them all.
Yep.
Likewise, also as it was in the day of Lot.
Day of who?
They eat and drink.
What happened? What was going on in the day of Lot, everybody? They were doing what? They were doing a little wickedness, right? They were playing with a little booty. Mm-hmm. Lot of fornication, uncleanness going on. So it was a lot of things that you would probably want to walk away from if you had the opportunity, wouldn't you? Let's see what happened.
It says, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also as it is in the days of Lot, they did eat and drink, and they bought and sold, and they planted and built it. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from Shamahim and destroyed them all.
It did what?
It destroyed them all.
And what else?
Even thus shall it be in the days when the Son of Man is revealed. And that day he which shall be upon the housetop, and his stuff in the house, let him come down and take it.
Said, let him not come down.
Let him not come down and take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife.
Why you think he just told you to remember Lot's wife? Very easy question. She looked back. Why y'all think she looked back? She cared for the things that were going on behind her. Or she could have been curious. I wonder what it looked like. See, the reason why he tell you to remember Lottie White, I press forward. I count all the things that I've lost as dung. I ain't looking back to see what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. I know what was going on back there. I lived there. I was in the house when they were trying to have sex with these men. I was there. What I'm looking back for, what's back there? See, that's when people come, oh, you're in a cult, or you don't want people to do this. I didn't want your soul to be saved. You can fool with them people all you want to, and the next thing you know, you'll be compromising for them. If you don't put stuff and you don't set them boundaries up and you don't put stuff in their proper perspective. See, that's what I'm talking about. Set boundaries. Because guess what? You know one thing a sinner don't have is boundaries. You know what an unbeliever don't have is boundaries. You know why they don't have boundaries? Because they don't have anyone who they serve, and they don't have a code of conduct on their life. They can do whatever they want to do when they want to do it. See, you can't serve Yahuwah and do whatever you want to do and whenever you want to do it. And the main reason why he told you not to fool with people who don't serve him is one reason and one reason alone. They will turn you from serving me. And the book has shown it repeatedly. Repeatedly. And if you've been dealing with this word long enough, some of y'all done let somebody turn you from serving him because you were fooling with them. And they persuaded you or convinced you to do something that you knew was wrong, but truth be told, you was already willing to do it anyway, and you just needed the opportunity to cajole and to go ahead and do it. And they opened the door and you ran through it. You know what I'm saying? And there's probably very few of y'all that seen the temptation coming and you ran away before it even got. You sat right on there like a dummy. I think I can endure it. And then you sat there and you did it. And then you like, dang, I don't want nobody to know. Should have got your stupid butt up and left. And I guarantee you, he made a way for you to get up out of there. And you looked at it and said, I'm going to stay right here. And that's when you going by the lust of your eyes and the lust of your flesh and the pride of life, because you want to fulfill your desires and you want to do what you want to do. And that man said, if you got the lust of the flesh in you, and you got the lust of the eyes in you, and you got the pride of life, then the love of Abba Yahuwah is not in you. See, you can't be a pleaser of yourself and say you love Yah. That is not possible. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. They are diametrically opposed to one another. We have a very, very harsh dichotomy with that. What are we going to do with it? Because one has to be expelled and one can only be retained. Man, he done read it. You're going to despise one and love the other. You can't love Elohim and Mammon. You can't love Yah and the world. You can't love Yah and sinners. We know he told Jehoshaphat, how can you love them that hate Yahuwah? How is that possible? I got to love you from over here. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, how strong has your service been to Yah that people who you kicked it with and talked to stop talking to you? Stop coming around you. Not because you were like, oh, I don't do that. I don't do that. But they see that the direction of your life is not going in the same trajectory as theirs. And they say, no, that nigga on some other type of time. I can't fool with that nigga. See, that nigga don't smoke. That nigga don't drink. That nigga don't club. That nigga don't do this. That nigga don't do that. And you sit back and you know the word part is, we be devastated by it. Boy, let that nigga die and go to hell on his own. We be devastated by it. You don't want to lose these people. Shoot, if you were saved in Yahuwah, these people were lost before you met them. They were lost before you met them. If you truly sanctified by him from the foundation of the world, they were lost before you met them. Meaning, you were separated from these people before you were even born. Before they were even born. If you believe the text, then you would already know this. Either you're going to be set apart on this man's right-hand side, or you're going to be on the left-hand side with these goats. That's the bottom line when it comes down to it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing in this world more important than your soul. Nothing. Ain't nobody in this world more important than your soul. But how many of y'all really feel that way? How many of y'all really serve Yah with that thought process? Like, where's your mind at? Because as a man thinketh, so he is. Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 28. Matter of fact, make it Psalms 51 and 8. And then Isaiah 40. You remember that. If you think like a sinner, you're going to be a sinner. If you double-minded, meaning you can't decide what you want to do, you ain't going to have no firm foundation with Yahuwah, and you're going to stumble and you're going to fall. Yah forbid. I wouldn't want that for none of y'all. Psalms 51 and 10.
10?
Oh, well, 8. Yeah, I don't want you. Don't be around here looking back. Matter of fact, how many of y'all been feeling like? How many of y'all in here can say there's been a time where you could literally say you was Lot's wife and you were looking back? You know what I'm saying? That junk ain't no good. See, the only reason why I can't say that because when I got to where I came straight out of prison, what it was there to look back to. Go back to sell rocks. I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? See, that looking back, that junk ain't do you no good either. Because you know what you were looking back for? I think I really want this. And he can mess around and let you have it, and you find out it ain't what you really wanted. Don't you realize the stuff you really felt like you really wanted ain't what you really wanted in the first place? It certainly wasn't what you needed. Come on. 51 and 8.
Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from thy sins and blot out all mine iniquities. Create me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right spirit within me.
Do what?
Renew a right spirit in me.
That word for renew is kadash. It's the Khan, it's the Dalet, and the Shan. Well, the Khan, that's what I'm going to say. So we have a pair that is separated to enter into the door. When you renew yourself or you're made new, you're joined to Elohim, so you can be sanctified to enter into the sun or to enter into the door, to enter into the tent, however you want to look at it. It's to enter into the house of Elohim, period. So now we want to go to Titus chapter 3, and we want to pick it up at verse 5. So if you want to be renewed in your mind, then that means that you want to be Titus 3 and 5. You want to be, huh?
Yeah, ask for Isaiah.
For who?
For Isaiah.
Say what?
You had asked for Isaiah.
Yeah, continue. Go on, get this Titus 3 and 5.
I'll let you know, brother.
Yeah.
It say, not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to thy mercy he saved us by the washing of regeneration and renewing of the Ruach HaKodesh, which he shed on us abundantly through the Yahushua, Mashiach our Savior, that being justified by his grace, we should be made heirs according to the hope of eternal life.
Made what?
We should be made heirs.
How you going to be made an heir?
Be joined in the Son.
Is that what he told you?
I was thinking about Galatians when he said the rule in our heart.
So they say you could be heirs with it. But how you going to become an heir, though? Romans 8 and 15.
For ye have not received the Ruach of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the Ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father.
Yep.
The Ruach itself bear witness to our Ruach that we are the children of Elohim, and if children, then heirs and heirs of Elohim, and joint heirs with the Mashiach.
If what?
If so be that we suffer with him,
Oh.
we may also be esteemed together.
So that's the way you're going to become an heir. You're going to have to suffer. You couldn't, see, go and get me Revelation 21 and 7. Remember, we dealing with Philippians, right? What he told you to do in Philippians? To have fellowship. Well, Paul said he wanted to have fellowship with his sufferings. So if you want to have fellowship with his inheritance and fellowship with reigning in his kingdom, you're going to have to suffer. So that's what happens when you get renewed. See, that's what the suffering is going to bring, is that renewal. It's going to make you new. It's going to make you afresh. That means that's going to join you together to be separated, to enter into that very kingdom you say you want to enter into. See, at the end of the day, you notice that these sufferings and being renewed and all these things, everything goes. You got the sacrifice, suffering, being made new, all this stuff join you to Elohim to enter. You're not going to avoid this if you want to be saved. You're not going to avoid it. Now, if you don't want to be saved, you definitely will avoid it. That's why he say some people are enemies of the stake of Hamashiach. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to deny themselves. Go ahead. What you over there thinking about, Jughead Jones? I seen your mind over there working. Your gears over there turning. Your gears over there turning.
Real revelation.
Oh, I can't call you Jughead Jones no more till you go get that. You went and got that legally changed. Costs a little bit of money.
Show that man.
You ain't know that?
Yeah. Yes, it do. They change your name on everything. Because once you change your name, all I gotta do is show my really?
On everything, all y'all do is change your ID. Your birth certificate ain't gonna change.
They said that your social security gotta change.
That's but that's free though. You is though. It is.
I gotta change everything on my bank statement.
But they don't charge for that.
Who don't?
I mean, in Tallahassee and Jacksonville don't mean nothing. That's state law. No, I just had a woman tell me they charged her to change her name at the courthouse. But remember, it don't matter what county you live in, that's state.
Your social is changed.
They don't change the number.
Your social don't change the
I'm saying she got a new social.
Mine did.
But it ain't that much.
You got to change it?
The amend social. It ain't that much.
Continue.
Proceed. Revelation 21
and 7.
It say, he that overcometh shall inherit all things.
He that what?
Overcometh.
Who is he that overcome the world? And if you believe on Yahushua, then what did you believe?
God.
So that means that he suffered. So if you believe that, then that means you would suffer with him then. So how you going? Go ahead, finish the verse.
It said, and I will be, it said, he will inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son.
See, that's the only way you're going to inherit. See, to inherit all things means you got to suffer because he overcame. Give me John 16 and 27. See, that's love right there. See, how many of y'all would love Elohim enough to suffer? Like we talked about last night, with the fool's mouth bringing contention. How many of y'all be willing to suffer that? The first time somebody rejected you for the word, how you felt? You felt bad or you felt good? Or you was just indifferent?
I felt like, shoot, I gotta be stepping in the right direction.
I was indifferent. I didn't care. I don't care if you don't agree with it, nigga. You know, there's a reason for that. So let me tell you that. Because I have been rejected my entire youth. And Lord, that nigga, they're crazy, or that nigga's weird, or this. So it didn't affect me because I had already experienced that. So a nigga doing me like that, I didn't have any thought process to it. Then on top of that, I know people hate the truth, regardless of where it come from or what it's about. People don't like to be told things that are right, especially if they're engaged in things that are wrong or it's something that they don't want to hear. Go ahead.
It say, but the fearful and
Oh, no, that's good. We go back to, my bad. John 16 and 27. After that, John 15 and 1. So to be made new, you have to be joined to Hamashiach. And then that joining will separate you or to sanctify you. Remember, we read this last week. He that sanctifieth and he that sanctify all are one, for which cause he's not ashamed to call you brethren. Didn't she tell you to go somewhere and sit down? Get somewhere and sit down. John 16, 27.
For the Father himself loveth you, because ye have loved me and have believed that I came out from Elohim.
Hold on, read that again. Listen to what he say.
For the Father himself loveth you, because ye have loved me.
So you can't, Yahuwah will not love you if you don't love his son. He said, if Elohim were your father, you would love me because I proceed forth and come from him. So if you love Yahuwah, then you would love his son. Somebody who don't love his son don't love Yahuwah. I don't care what they say out their mouth. Go ahead.
I came forth from the Father, and I am coming to the world again. I leave the world and go to the Father. His disciples said unto him, Lo, now speakest thou plainly, and seekest no proverb. Now are we sure that thou knowest all things, and needest not that any man should ask thee? By this we believe that thou camest from Elohim. Yahushua answered them and said, Do ye now believe?
Now you believe?
Behold, the hour cometh, yea, behold, the hour cometh, yea, is now come, that ye shall be scattered every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. and yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me.
The Father is with me.
These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have shalom, and in the world ye shall have tribulation.
In the world you'll have what?
Tribulation, but be of good cheer, because ye have overcome the world.
You'll have overcome the world. I have overcome the world. That's what he said. He overcame, which means he had the strength to prevail, to get you the victory. John 15:1. See, a lot of people don't want to, they don't want to renew themselves. After we read it, what is it? John 15:1, Ephesians 4:17. See, like I said before, when he started off, right, like I said, I wasn't talking about no word. Every person in this room has had a period of time you ain't love you. It's hard for a black person to love themselves in America. Do you know what I'm saying? If you grew up in a broken household, I guarantee you it's parts of you ain't love yourself. You know what I'm saying? How could you when you didn't get the proper love that you ought to have received from the day you were born? You know what I'm talking about? You live in a society that bombards you with images of white supremacy on the regular. You know what I'm talking about? Most of the time you influenced by very stupid and ignorant people around you that are older, who telling you that this is what you're supposed to do, continuing the process of destruction for you people. If you done ever got angry enough that you wanted to physically harm someone with your hands or a weapon, you know what I'm saying? Look at how black people move. Black men see each other, man, they tense up. You know what I'm saying? They shoot each other units. I seen a brother say, boy, I told myself, this nigga, I'm 50 years old too. He said, I told myself I never would not walk past a black man and speak. I'm like, I've always speak to black people my entire life. But I speak the universal black man's conversation. I give you one of these here when you're in public. You ain't necessarily got to say hello. Every one of y'all know what I'm talking about. You walk past a man, you give him the nod. Do you know what I'm talking about? You give him the nod. He know what that is. I ain't got to sit back and say, hey, brother, how you doing? If you choose to do that, what did you choose to do? But niggas know what that is. I speak to niggas everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? And you know niggas know when you do it what time it is. They shoot it right back.
Doing like this.
Some niggas do it like that. I do like this. What's happening? You know what I'm saying? But they know though. But the reason being, though, I've seen this here where niggas feel like they got to act all hard when they walk through niggas and this, that, and the third, because you feel like that's your enemy. I'm not your enemy, and you not my enemy. I told you when I was walking through the yard at Gulf, dude was like, boy, what you looking all mad for? Like he thinking I'm looking mad to try to make niggas. I'm like, bro, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I got to walk up here and talk to these crackers, man. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I'm in prison, cuz, and I got to talk to these punk crackers, man, which is not what I said. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like, oh, my bad. But that's how niggas were thinking. You walk around looking mad because you want somebody to be scared of you and let you a threat then the whole time. Because if I could, I'd kick one of these crackers in their chin. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what they be in here doing. You know what I'm saying? I know they be coming in here beating up dudes at night. I know they be setting dudes up in here, man. I know what these people be in here doing. Talk to you any kind of way. Putting their hands on people. And if I could, I'd choke the life out of them, bring it back to life, and kill him again. Do you know what I'm saying? See what I was telling y'all before you came in the door? And I used to say this in prison all the time. So I ain't just saying this here. Dude, we're talking about what Kanye was talking about, bro. Bro, I've been in prison. I seen a man slap a dude at Center Gate in front of 100 niggas and not near nigga moved. The first thing clicked in my head was this cracker's supposed to die right here today. It's 100 of us standing right here. How can this one white man walk through here and slap this man and nobody do nothing? Nobody did nothing. I'm trying to tell you, bro. Right at Gulf, right at the Center Gate, man. I can't even remember the white dude's name. He said, you over there looking at my wife? Ah. And I'm looking because I'm like, boy, soon these niggas move, boy. I'm with them. Nobody moved. You know what I'm saying? Dude, them niggas ain't gonna, you know what them niggas gonna do? Nah, you know what them niggas were gonna do? Sit there and be like, boy, that nigga there crazy. Cause one, if I'm the nigga who got
that, cause this niggas might have felt like you felt. You ain't moved, so that nigga.
Nah, the first person who's supposed to move is the nigga who got slapped.
I mean, that's obvious.
You know what I'm talking about?
Supposed to stand up for your brothers.
That's the first nigga who's supposed to move. You know what I'm talking about? Them niggas just sat there and be like, you know what them niggas said when we walked off? See, that nigga shouldn't have been looking at that nigga wife, cuz. Nah. Okay. Okay. You think it's a game? Well, you know how many times, you know how many times I heard this saying right here when we was up the road? What's them crackers' world, cuz? It's their world, bro. We can't win. It's their world. But I'm like, it's more of us than it is of them.
Bro, I promise if you would have popped off, you at least had 2 niggas out here.
Well, you know what?
Two, bro.
You know what? You know
At least two.
you know how I know this ain't true? Because it was niggas on the yard. It was one nigga. That nigga had that lawnmower blade. And boy, that nigga went after that cracker with that lawnmower blade. And there was other niggas out there had swords on their yard. Ain't now one of them niggas go over there and grab that sword and chase that cracker. They watch Cuz chase that, and that cracker would hit the dude. You know what I'm talking about? That nigga had it. Now, of course, at the same time, them niggas be worried about them people in them towers with them rifles. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Them niggas do be worried about that though. Oh, no, ain't nobody got no guns in no county jail. No CO. Ain't nobody got no guns in no prison. The only people who got a gun is the nigga in the tower.
But indoors, it's free game.
It's free game.
Also, yeah, if he got slapped, they could have got on him, got over here.
Drugging. You know what I'm talking about? Drugging.
Well, you supposed to jump down, bro.
Shoot, one thing about it though, I ain't finna be no martyr for no niggas with no life sentence. Ain't finna do nothing. I seen niggas with life sentences cry about a CC, which is a minor infraction. Cause you got an elbow. But a nigga wake up in the morning and stab his roommate 12 times and be like, hey man, nigga gonna test me. Robbing niggas for their commissary. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga ain't gonna do nothing. Boy, I seen them niggas like this here, boy. But a couple of them niggas though, yeah, them niggas had them blades on them crackers like this here. Come here, nigga.
That's what I'm saying.
But
So
no,
if there's 100 niggas,
but I'm
probably just waiting.
No, they ain't waiting because them niggas ain't gonna ride. Oh, it was only a handful of niggas at Gulf gonna ride. If you go to the majority of these prisons across this state, it's only a handful of dudes gonna ride because a lot of them been beaten down and broken. I'm telling you, we done had conversations. People told us they separate the old niggas from the young niggas because the young niggas ain't with it.
Do you think the officers project fear on the inmates?
Man, them niggas already be scared for when they get there. Just like I told y'all, Out East got the reputation of being one of the grimiest neighborhoods in the city. And I've watched one police officer run 15 niggas off the block. And if one car shot through there too many times, them niggas gonna shoot that car. If it wasn't a police car. I watched that on 22nd and Buckman. Boy, I'm standing out there, boy, smoking me a blunt. I see them niggas, they posted up on the corner. That cruiser shot through there. I'm like, what? You could have shot this crack. He could have died. Who would have known? I wouldn't have told it. Do you know what I'm saying? I might have went over there and spit on him. Well, I don't like the police, boy. Well, when I was young, boy. No, I ain't capping on that. Boy, I cut the police out in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when that dude, Matt Duffy, killed that nigga around there, we was on butt, and then people like this here, you see, I ain't seen nothing and stop pulling over here. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I don't like your kind. I don't fool with you. Just like I told him, man, when I was young, man, and niggas used to run from the police, I'm not running. Because the first thing that clicked in my mind was slave catcher. Niggas running from the slave catcher. This is how I'm thinking, 18, 19 years old. I'm not running from no police, bro. That's why I caught some of the cases I caught, because I'm not running. You know what I'm saying? I done cut the police out with a pocket full of rocks, boy. I don't care nothing about that. My mom was there that time that cracker punched me in my stomach. I told that cracker, take these handcuffs off me. I bet I whoop your behind, boy, and you could take me to jail afterwards. And he was bigger than me. I ain't even care. How dare you? You gonna hit me while I'm handcuffed? I want to spit in his face. You know what I'm saying? But it don't make no good to spit in your face if your hands like this. He got free reign. Oh, my lamb. Who that is smelling like that?
I'll take the cake.
You farted, boy? God! God!
I'll take that bed.
Boy, you smell like your son, boy.
Don't allow my son. Take me down, officer. It was mine.
Come on, man. It's just talking about the aspect of how we'll easily capitulate to these people. You know what I'm saying? But on the reverse, you'll bust your brother head in the heartbeat. I remember we talked, I'll leave it alone, boy. I remember we with my homeboy cousin. And we were just talking about the music business, man. He said he wanted to be a rapper. I said, yeah, boy, you gotta make sure your paperwork tight so they don't screw you. F a nigga. F a nigga. Nigga ain't gonna do nothing to me, because I'm down with the white man. Hey, Mr. White Man, that's literally what he did. I'm not exaggerating. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what he did. But the first thing that he took that on is his extreme hatred for self. Because he automatically said, F his own people, a nigga ain't gonna do nothing to me, I'll do this to my people, that to my people. He said, everybody know the white man got all the money. Hey, Mr. White Man. And unfortunately, I would say 80 to 95% of our people think like this. Think like this.
Lesbian from UPS. She don't like black people. She don't date white people. Is she black? Black. Still be off.
I mean, you got black people who like that, and that don't necessarily mean it could just be their preference. You know what I'm saying?
If you a black woman, you like women, you don't date black women.
I mean, it's black men who like women who don't date black women for whatever reason.
But they won't be white men.
Some of them do. I would say most of them. I know it's.
I've yet to meet like a dude that really is pro-black and act like a regular black dude with a white woman.
Oh, I know plenty.
Every black dude I know that's like married to a white woman, they kind of off to me.
I mean, I know regular street niggas who got white women.
Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have some people that's just what they like.
I don't know really niggas got a white woman.
I know regular dudes that was in the street, the dudes I came up with, they got white women. You know what I'm saying? And a couple of them, one of them I know, that nigga is definitely pro-black. He just like white women. Why he like white women, I don't know, but he like white women.
I ain't never seen it. Not no regular.
Yeah, I ain't never seen hey, my name, I want to be Mr. Charlie. No, I ain't know. I know regular niggas. Like you said, some of them, they feel like you can get over on them easy. And I know some dudes, they just like white women. You know what I'm saying? Most niggas mess with white girl because they feel like you can get over on a white girl easy. Feel like it's a less of a challenge.
It is, though. For some.
Yeah, that's the prevailing stereotype. But
wouldn't.
shoot. Boy, I'd have messing with white women is just as grimy and nasty as any stereotypical black woman can be conceived. They just go about it different. Because you hear too many white men talking about their wife got their balls and their wife run their household to be talking about that you can just run over a white woman. Do you know what I'm saying?
But I done seen some black dudes too, so I can't say that. I done seen some real cute white dudes. I mean, real.
But no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it myself. I couldn't do it. Not me. I can't do it. If I had a choice between a white woman and dying alone, I'm dying alone. That's just me. I ain't nothing against anybody who marry a white woman. Nothing against you. That's speaking for myself. I would prefer to be married to a black woman. Yeah, I would prefer that. I don't want no white woman. You know what I'm saying? Nothing against white people. I ain't mad at no white man that say white people for white, whites for whites, blacks for black. I ain't mad at nobody. That's how it's supposed to be. We talked about that not too long ago. Tiger ain't going to mate with no lion. And a lion ain't going to mate with no jackal. That ain't how it go down. You know, it is what it is. Do what you like. Do what you feel. I don't like it, and I don't feel it. Come on, man.
I do not like these niggas, man.
I do not like them saying I am. I don't. I don't like them on the train. Don't like them on the plane.
Read John 15
and 1.
It said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit.
Go sit down.
Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you.
Do what?
Abide in me, and I in you.
Why?
As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide.
So we need to be in him. And if you do that, then this will cause you to bring forth that fruit, which is the love, the joy, the shalom, the long suffering, the temperance, the meekness. You know what I'm talking about? Which therefore will sanctify and separate you. Because he told you if you love me and you keep my commandments, then he'll give you the ruach of truth, which will separate you. Come over here to Isaiah 40 and 28. Isaiah 40 and 28. You know, I would say, people get offended by some stuff. People that feel like you should love whoever you want to love. We knew somebody married to a white woman. She was cool too. I ain't had nothing like this here. I just couldn't do it.
Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard that the everlasting Elohim, Yahuwah, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not?
He don't what?
Fainteth not.
He don't what?
Fainteth not.
Now keep that in mind. He don't faint. He don't fall out. He don't pass out. None of that. Go ahead.
Neither is he weary.
Neither is he what?
Weary.
Go ahead.
There is no searching of his understanding.
See, that's the people problem. They don't search for his understanding. Continue.
He giveth power to the faint. To them that have no might, he increases strength.
He give power to who?
To them that have no might,
He does what?
increases strength.
Go on here to get me 2 Corinthians chapter 12, man, verses 7. Remember.
7.
Yep, 2 Corinthians 12 and 7.
It say, unless I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Hashatan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
Go ahead.
For this thing I besought Yahuwah thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
Uh-huh.
Most gladly, therefore, will I rather esteem in my infirmities, that the power of Elohim might rest upon me, or the power of Mashiach might rest
Go
upon me.
ahead.
It says, therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches, in necessities and persecutions and distress, for the Mashiach's sake. For when I am weak, I am strong.
He said he take pleasure in that. Now, didn't we just read in Isaiah? He said he can increase might in them who don't have no strength. Now, take me around here to, what that is, Luke chapter 22. Pick me up about verse 44. Yep, Luke 22 and 44.
You want to listen with your mama? You better cut it out. I'm on the top side. Come on. Let me leave that.
What that do?
Luke 22 and 44.
It said, and being in the agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down into the ground. And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow, and said unto them, why sleepeth ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation.
I'm just looking for the verse with the angels. That's what we came with.
I said cut it out.
Y'all thought it was a game.
You better close your mouth.
It's not a game.
I read it. I still hear you. Cut it out. Cut it out.
You said it was angels?
Yo, the angel strength.
Stop it.
It's right there.
Cut it out. Fix your face.
I got you. 42. Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me, and nevertheless not my will be done, but thine be done. And there appeared a Malachim unto him from Shamahim, strengthening him.
If we sit back and he's asking for this cup to pass, would it be safe to say that he was without strength, without might, or without power, and he came to be given some manner of strength in the state of being weak? Come on back to Isaiah chapter 40. You see how he gave power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increased their strength. So what you think type of strength that Malachim increased him with? He increased his faith to continue. That's why he say, when you are converted, Peter, strengthen thy brethren. Continue. Verse 30.
Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahuwah shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint.
Now that word for weary is your God. We have a yod, gamal, and a hay. What did you think that would be telling us? We already dealt with renew, so you know you're being paired. What is it? Paired to the, that's a different word. That's the pair that is separated to enter into this door. So if we got a yard gamal in the hay, if we're getting something revealed, what are we getting revealed? If you're weary, what's being revealed to you is that you'll be lifted up unto the right hand, or the work of the right hand will lift you up in the time period where you are weary. Let's take that look at that in James chapter 4. James 4 and 4. So when you look at being weary, and we look at beyond that, because being weary clearly is you're in a weak state. And then also for the word for faint is your off. And we have a yod and an ayin and a pay. So when you fainting, to be able for you not to faint 4 and 4, you would be able to see that the words will cause you to experience the work of the right hand, which will cause you to be able to have strength. Because he just said that you will not faint nor be weary, that you will walk and not faint and run and not be weary. Then we're looking at this in Isaiah 40. So we're looking at the standpoint of what we're trying to get from this. Continue. James 4 and 4.
They say, ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with Elohim? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of Elohim.
Anybody that's what?
A friend of the world is enemy of Elohim. Do you think that the scripture said the vain, this ruach that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy? But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, Elohim resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Submit yourselves therefore to Elohim and resist the adversary, and he will flee from you.
He will what?
Flee from you. Draw not to Elohim, and he will draw to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded.
See this, I just hear, because that's what his grace is going to give you, the ability for you not to faint and fall out. It'll give you the strength when you weak. Remember, because we taking that back to what he just told Paul. My grace is made sufficient for thee in weakness. Look at James 5 and 5. James 5 and 5. I meant not James 5. I meant 1 Peter 5 and 5. You all right? No quiet. No talking.
It says, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves to the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility, for Elohim resisteth the proud and giveth esteem to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he might exalt you in due time.
In due time.
Be sober.
That's good. That's good. That's good. He'll exalt you in due time. Because what it is, man. I want to say 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians 4 and 16. Leave that stroller alone aside. Make it 2 Corinthians 4 and 14.
It says, knowing that he was raised up, the Master Yahushua shall raise us also by Yahushua, and shall present us with you. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant esteem might, through the thanksgiving of many, redound to the esteem of Elohim. For this cause we faint not.
We what?
We faint not.
So we're not going to faint. Now, why are we not going to faint? We're not going to faint because the words, the revealing of the words of the work of the right hand is there to give us this strength. That's what that Malachim was coming to do to Yahushua when he was getting ready to faint and fall out. He revealed, if you think he just touched him and said, get strong? He revealed words to him which gave him strength. Continue.
Come back over here.
Go. No, I was from the house next to you. Oh, no, I know.
Come on.
Be quiet.
For
Okay,
all things
you gotta
are
sit here and be quiet.
for your sake.
Go. Go. Don't start all that crying.
Let's go.
It says, knowing that he which is raised up.
No, read that 16. You listen, son.
You said what?
Read 16.
For this cause we faint not, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
So when your inward man is being renewed, what does that mean? You're being paired to be separated to Elohim every single day. See, now pause and look at Luke 9 and 23. Luke 9 and 23. What would allow you to be renewed every day? We still got to get Ephesians 4 and 17. Your birthday passed. What's going to cause your spirit to be renewed? He said we are renewed in the inward man day by day. How does this happen? Luke 9 and 23.
It say, and he said unto them, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily. And
Hold on, take his stake up when?
Daily.
Daily. So that means you suffer in the flesh and you deny yourself every day. Not when it's convenient, not when it's comfortable for you to do so. Every day. This is how you're paired to be separated and enter into the house every day. Ephesians 4 and 17.
This I say therefore and testify in Yahuwah or in the Master that ye henceforth walk not as the other Gentiles walk in the vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened and being alienated from the
This
life
is another
of
reason why I could say none of us in here loved ourselves, because we were alienated and dark and we were walking around dumb. You didn't know nothing. How can the people love themselves when we were growing up and none of us knew where we came from? You know what I'm saying? We ain't know no history, no culture, no language, no nothing. All we knew is what the people told us. All we knew is what was passed down to us from our families. You know what I'm saying? Why do you think niggas going from being Muslims to being 5%ers or being Israelites or being Kemetic? Because they don't know where they come from. Every other people on this planet know where they come from. They know their culture. They know where they derive from. And when we talk about culture, talking about your way of living, your customs. You ain't have no customs. You were adopting customs of other people. That's why some of you still fight to do certain things, because you're not relinquishing the customs of which you learn from other people. Go ahead.
It says having the understanding darkened and being alienated from the life of Elohim through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their heart, whom being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness to work all uncleanliness with greediness. But ye have not so learned the Mashiach, if so be that ye have heard of him and have taught by him.
And if you were taught him, then you wouldn't be doing this any longer. Go ahead.
That ye put off concerning the former conversation of the old man, which is corrupt, according to the deceitful lust, and being renewed in the ruach of your mind.
In your ruach of your what?
Or your mind.
So now if you being renewed in the ruach of your mind, then that means every single solitary day, you're going to be paired, the pair that is separated to enter into this door. So that means you have been taken up, that's, because how was Yahushua renewed? By his death, causing him to be resurrected. Finish that verse and then get me Philippians 3 and 17.
And being renewed in the ruach of your mind.
Stop.
And that ye put on the new man, which after the Mashiach is created in righteousness and true Kadash.
So now if you created in righteousness and true Kadash, this is how you're paired to that separation. Remember, the Ruach HaKadosh is this what? The breath of separation. So how can you say you want to have the Ruach, but you don't want to separate yourself? You moving like Lot's wife, you looking back. He separated you so you could be his. So that's what I mean when you looking back, you telling him, I don't want to belong to you. I don't want to be yours. If y'all stood in front of you right now and say, I want you to be mine, you going to tell him you don't want it? But see, he don't have to stand in front of you and tell you that he wants you to be his, because he's literally showing you by his actions that he's separating you so you can be his and you're resisting it. And that we'd have to say that would be a low grade of intelligence for us to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or we just feel like, how can we really be concerned with a world that is temporary? You know what I'm saying? Like, how often do you commune with your God on a regular basis? How often do you read his word? How often do you meditate upon it? How often do you make supplications? Or are you just worried about everything you got going on, which means absolutely nothing? That can't even get you to the place you say you want to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to really sit there and think about that. What you concerned about something that's going to pass away for? More than something that's going to endure forever. That's what I mean in your weight. Where's the balance at? Where's the just judgment and the just balance and the just weight? That you giving this world and this life more weight than the world that's going to endure forever. Just because you can't see it right now. That doesn't make sense. So why do you think you're going to get a reward? Come on, man. You said you want something else after I read that. Yeah, I don't even remember what it was. Yeah, the Ephesians. I already got it. Come on back to oh no, that was it. That was it. What you just read is what I wanted.
Yeah, but you said something right after this.
No, we ain't went there yet. Come back to 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians chapter 4. You got to be willing to do that every single day. But you see how he say you renew day by day? That means day by day you continually pairing yourself to Yahushua to be separated, which is he that sanctifieth and he that sanctify all are one. I sanctify myself by the truth, that you might sanctify yourselves by the truth, that you might receive a reward from Elohim. See, it's that separation. See, that's the part of the game. Niggas scream, I'm holy, I'm Kadesh, and all that gangster stuff is real good, but don't nobody really want to separate themselves because you clearly don't want to separate yourself from the things that he want to separate you from. He told you not to dwell in your ignorance as you did when you were a child. He said he gave you the commandment, be ye Kadesh as I am Kadesh. So if you want to receive this man's spirit, then you got to separate yourself. Don't get no more simpler than that. Come on, man. Verse 16, read it again.
It say, for which cause we faint not, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man
So
is renewed
when
day
you
by
taking
day.
up that state, your outward man or your flesh is perishing every day because you're putting it to death. Meaning, he said he put sinful flesh to death. He condemned sinful flesh in the flesh. So meaning, when you suffering in the flesh, you're causing this outward nature of the flesh to cease from sin every day. But your inward man, because Paul say, I delight after the Torah, after the inward man is being renewed, or you're being paired to this separation to get in the kingdom every single day. So that's how that love of Elohim manifests all those, the righteousness, the goodness, the joy, the shalom, the long suffering, the patience, and all that stuff. I hear niggas scream love all the time. Niggas don't love y'all, so your talk of love is irrelevant to me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's irrelevant to me. Because I can't love you before. I can't even love myself until I love y'all. That's why we can sit back and say, ain't none of us loved ourselves because we didn't even love y'all yet. So how would you know how to love yourself? You wouldn't even know how to do it. Because we had never been taught how to do it. We thought we loved ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We took love in ourselves as doing the things that we like to do. And I love myself. That's why I say you don't really begin to know how to love yourself until you've been serving Yah for at least a year. You know what I'm saying? It's like straight up and down. Because you thought that what you thought was love. But it wasn't, though. It was really self-serving interest. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it was. But we didn't know that because we didn't have the tools. Nobody told us. Nobody showed us. So how would we have known that? That ain't nothing to feel bad about that you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know. But now when you know, what do you do with it? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people that felt like, I'm ready to love somebody. And then they found out, oh, I don't know how to do this. Because you never saw it. So how would you know? You know what I'm saying? How many of us can say that you really seen a healthy marriage in your lifetime? Not many. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, but not many. Most people coming up as a child, not many people see it. You see what you say? I don't matter if you related to them or not, just seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Most people, and I ain't talking about just black people, I'm talking about people, period. Most people don't grow up seeing a healthy marriage and a healthy relationship between a man and a woman, and then they get older and they say, nah, I want to love somebody and get married now. But how you going to do it? You don't got the tools. You never saw it. So then that's where the mistakes come in at. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know. That ain't, is that your fault you don't know? Is that your fault you don't know? No, it ain't your fault. You know what I'm saying? The problem come in that is, and it's by nature, human nature, that we feel like sometimes we're ready for things that we not. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the same token. Most of y'all can sit back and say, if somebody would have really sat down and had a real detailed conversation about sexual intercourse with you, you probably would have waited. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you didn't know. Nobody gave you the tools. Nobody gave you the information for you to really understand what you're doing. You hearing songs, you seeing movies, you got your peers telling you this, that, there, and the third. You sampled it out, you felt it felt a little good, and next thing you know, you're doing it. Next thing you know, and that was the end of that, because I had already told you to stop spinning it. So no, I will not put it in your hand, and you better not shed an tear. So then the next thing you know, you end up with children. Children that you're not even equipped to raise, because you still a child. Do you know what I'm saying? So now you got an even greater responsibility that you're not even mentally, emotionally, or spiritually prepared to even, if you don't sit your butt still. What you think this is? Get your mom to wipe your nose. All righty then. You know what I'm saying? Just sit back and think about that. Because I say, right, and we talk about it, when you look in the word, you see how sometimes how a little bit older the men were before they married somebody. Because it was the preparation for them to do so. You know what I'm saying? See, now we live in a society, everything has to be done quickly. Microwave. I want instant results, and I want instant gratification. You know what I'm saying? Or how some people judge the status of their life based on what everybody else is doing around them. Oh, this person bought this at 27, and this person did this here. And you shouldn't judge your life on that, because you have no idea what them people did to get that. You don't have no idea what them people real personal and private life really is like. Most of y'all know people who in public, people think these people marriage is great, but in private, these people can't stand each other. You know what I'm saying? But I just seen a dude talk about how Donald Trump's wife need to just fake it. You could tell, he was like, you could easily tell that she don't want nothing to do with this man because she refuses to let him touch her. You know what I'm saying? And all this, that, there, and the third. But see, she just not in public faking it. But most people know somebody who's been in public faking like their relationship was good. In reality, they were miserable. Because we like to judge things on the things that we see. Come on back over here. Because I'm trying, you're going to get a whooping. And I don't want that to happen to you. Come on, where I got you? Sit. Yeah, finish the chapter.
It said, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment working for us, is far more exceedingly an eternal weight of esteem.
And when you sit back and look at it, he called that affliction light. Sit back and think about it. The stuff that we enduring is light compared to what you're going to get. Oh, that's what I had asked you for Philippians 3:17. Go on and grab that for me. Go on and grab that for me. Go ahead and read it. Come on.
It said, brethren, be as followers together of me, and mark them which walk, so as having us for an example. For many walk, of whom I've told you oft, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the stake of the Mashiach.
See how I told you before? An enemy of the stake. So they're an enemy of sacrificing themselves. They're an enemy of suffering. Go ahead.
Whose end is destruction.
So when you don't, so your God is really your own desires, and your end is you going to hell. Go ahead.
And whose esteem is in their shame, who mind earthly things.
See, that's what happens. When you don't want to suffer, it's because you mind the things of this life. That's a problem. Go ahead.
For our conversation is in Shamahim.
Meaning our conduct is in heaven. Keep that in mind. The conduct, your behavior is, if your conduct and behavior is in heaven, then what else would be in heaven?
Your affections.
Your affections, your heart, your mind. Remember, we did talk about that a couple weeks ago. Your mind is in heaven. He just mentioned that prayer, right? He said, in earth as it is what? So that means everything that you're doing is supposed to be a representation of what's in Shamahim. Everything's supposed to be your marriage is supposed to be a representation of that. You know what I'm saying? That's supposed to be the literal kingdom of Yahuwah on earth. That's what people supposed to see. You know what I'm saying? But what we be worried about, being cute, just being married, having kids, instead of, I'm going to manifest the kingdom of Yah before men. If we was really taught that this is how we supposed to, then more marriages would be representative of that in our community. I ain't talking about just the people sitting in this room. I'm talking bigger than this room. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's not what's being taught. So that's why you see brews going from person to person. Oh, it's a lot of brews, because you got to remember, some people believe in getting divorced amongst our people. So you'll see people who get married and divorce one person and they married to another person and this, that, that, and the third, because nobody is focusing on, let me be as Yasharal, let me be as Mashiach, and let me pick a spouse that represents those particular characteristics so the kingdom of Elohim can be manifested by all those who see us. If that's what you were taught and that was in the framework of your mind versus thinking with your loins or thinking with your eyes. When I say loins, your base desires, your flesh, and thinking with the lust of your eyes or the pride of life. We would be a better representation of our God unless people would have the opportunity to mock. So like, are we even concerned with people mocking our God based off what we do? Because you know they be ready. You got to think about that. Now, don't get me wrong, too, at the same token. None of the stuff that people like to do when they get married is irrelevant. There's nothing wrong if you want to be cute and go out and romance all that. That stuff got its place. But it's supposed to be about the kingdom first. That's supposed to be first. If that's not first, then you need to reassess your marriage. You and your spouse got to sit down and have a conversation. What's the direction we going? You know what I'm saying? Because I mentioned that because he read it to you, didn't he? You read it in Ephesians, right? That's how it's supposed to be. What?
Come over here and sit down. Come over here.
Go with your Abba. Go ahead. Continue, sir.
It said, for our conversation is in Shamahim, from hence we look for our Savior, Yahushua Mashiach, who shall change our vile body. That
He'll do what?
Be changed.
Our what?
Our vile body.
Keep that in mind. Go ahead.
That it can be fashioned like unto his esteemed body.
Like his esteemed body.
According to the working, whereby he is able to subdue all things into himself.
See, so when you renewed and you become that pair that is separated in into the doors because that word has subdued your desires. You have to allow the word to subdue the things that are in you that are contrary to it. And therefore you can walk in it. Where was you at before that? Yeah, you got to finish 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And then after that, Genesis 35 and 1. What time is it?
Almost 30. 27.
Yeah, I'm finna get ready to stop. I had something in Genesis 41. I'll hold it. Oh, I don't even got that in that book. No, I didn't put that. Go ahead. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse what? 18?
That's the right verse. We read that.
Read it again.
We had 17. It say, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of esteem.
Listen to what he say.
While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal.
That's the thing you got to sit back and look at. You can see that outward man, but you can't see that inward man. And the things that are inside of you will live forever if you allow them to dwell there, if you allow it to renew you. Genesis 35 and 1. Which takes us back to what we talked about Wednesday about not compelling your brother to serve as a bondservant or the Abdua, which is causing you to experience the sufferings of Hamashiach so you can get in the house.
You said 35 and 1?
Yeah.
Is it Genesis 35 and 1?
Yeah, you got to be that to cause you to behold the experience to enter into the house. A lot of, see, that's the word we have. That's the word right there. See, a lot of us don't want to have that experience. We want to run from it.
And Elohim said to Jacob, arise, go ye to Bethel, and dwell there, and make their altar of the Elohim that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. And Yaakov said unto the household and to all that were with him, put away the strange Elohim which are among you.
Put them strange gods away.
Be clean and change your garment.
Be what?
Clean and change your garment.
And change what?
Your garment.
What y'all look at this here, man? The word for change is kalaf. We got a kot, lamad, and the pay. And you know what that's going to tell us? That is the entrance of the teaching that will guide you to separate you. So if you look at what that word for change is telling you, that you have to allow this word to come in and enter into your heart and allow it to direct you so that you can be separate. Then when you look at garments, that word is simlah, and it's samak, the meme, the lamad, and the hay, and it's the teaching that will breathe might or power that will support you infinitely or forever. That's why we read that Philippians 3 about changing our vile body to make it like his esteemed body. Because look at the word, see, that's why we use a different meaning for hay. Ain't no revealing here because one of the meanings for hay is breath. So we need to look at something. Give me Luke 24 and 40 and 39. Think about that when you talk about changing your garments. So when you changing your garments, first thing for you to change, you have to allow the word to enter in. Then when you allow the word to enter in, it will teach you and lead you to separate you. That's why we didn't read the verse, but in Romans 8 and 14, it said all those that are led by the Ruach of Elohim are the sons of Elohim, because you allowed that word to enter into your heart. See, people don't allow the word to enter into their heart, so therefore the word cannot teach them. So since, remember, and I mentioned it, for matter of fact, before we get that, get me Luke 14 and 27. This is why I told y'all this the other day. This is exactly why I told y'all this the other day. Luke 14 and 27.
It says, and whosoever does not bear his stake and come after me cannot be my disciple.
That man can't teach you if you ain't gonna be willing to sacrifice yourself. So how can you be paired to him to be separated to enter into the door if you're not even willing to sacrifice yourself? We just read that man say those who are enemies of the stake of Mashiach, they God is they belly, they mind earthly things, they carnal. I seen a brother, he posted something real smooth, right? You know what a lot of brothers sit back and look at? It ain't in the law, so I can do it. Instead of asking the question, is it carnal or is it spiritual? Because that's the question you should ask yourself if it's not in the law. No, we didn't have that conversation before. Niggas say, well, it don't say you can't smoke weed. Nigga, is that a carnal activity or a spiritual activity? We didn't have that conversation before. Nigga can't tell you that's no spiritual activity. What's spiritual about putting some weed in a cigar and lighting it and smoking it, nigga? Not nothing. Not nothing. That's appeasing to your flesh. Ain't nothing spiritual about it. We know why you know it ain't nothing spiritual about it? Because can't nothing within the man go without a man can make you spiritual. The only thing that can come without to make you spiritual is the word. Because it's going to come without to enter into your ears, to enter into your heart, for that to be spirit, to manifest inside of you. Put no weed in your body that can't make you spiritual. And if a nigga believe it, he's stupid. And truly he don't believe in Yahuwah. So you think Yahuwah sitting up in there? I certainly needed that to soothe my spirit. Yeah, niggas say that one there. It was smoke in the temple. They were burning. People scream. Sex is spiritual. How? That's a carnal activity. That's a carnal activity. Niggas swear up and down sex is spiritual. Ain't nothing spiritual about it. Now when he say the Malachim and the children of the resurrection ain't gonna be doing it, so nigga ain't nothing about it spiritual. It's a physical act. We know how we know this, because Hamashiach say there's people who have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of Elohim. Ain't nothing spiritual about it. He couldn't be spiritual. Niggas say being vegan make you spiritual. How, nigga? So that's how you're supposed to approach everything. Is this appeasing your flesh or is it appeasing your ruach? Which one is it doing? Continue.
It say, and for which you intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first
and do what?
Count the cost.
And count the cost. I'm going to ask y'all a question, man.
Have you sufficient to finish?
I asked y'all that a while ago. Did y'all really sit down and count the cost when you went after this man? Or were you really just excited to learn something new? Or did you really count the cost? Do you got enough in your inward parts to pay for what you about to go do? Give me verse 33.
It says, so likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all he hath cannot be my disciple.
He can't even teach you if you ain't willing to forsake. If you ain't willing to forsake everything that you have, that means you're not willing to change your garments. And if you're not willing to kalaf, that means you're not willing to allow the word to enter into you, to teach you and guide you so you can be separate. Because that's what happened when they came out of Egypt. He brought them out of there to change them, to teach them, to guide them so that they could be separate. You got to understand, son, your Elohim is a separate Elohim. He is Kadesh. He is separate from everything. His children have to be also. His children have to be. See, that's the conversation nobody want to have. Nigga think they separate with Eastern garments and fringes at the bottom. No, you just a nigga with an outfit on, cuz. Straight up. At the end of the day, you ain't no more separate than somebody like me with t-shirt and some jeans on, or somebody with a three-piece suit. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no separate. What makes you separate is what's in your heart. You got a lot of word to enter in and do his work. What I had you holding? I don't think I had you holding nothing.
We went to Genesis and then went back to
Yeah, see, now let's look at these garments, right? There's Luke 24 and 39.
Yeah.
It said, behold, my hands and my feet.
Well, give me 36. Abigail, you gonna fall.
It's saying, as they thus spake, Yahushua himself stood in the midst of them and said, Shalom be unto you. But they were terrified and affrighted, and supposed they had seen a Ruach. And he said unto them, why are ye troubled, and why do thoughts arise in thy hearts? Behold, my hands and my feet, that is, I myself, handle me, and see, for a spirit have not flesh and bones, as ye see me have.
Yep.
And he had thus spoken and showed them his hands and his feet. And while they yet believed not for joy and wonder, he said unto them, have ye...
Now they seeing him at his resurrection, and he say, a spirit don't got flesh and bones like you see me have. Now drop down to verse 44, see what happens. Because this is what happens when you change your clothing. Because he changed his clothing, he was able to give them the teaching that will breathe might or power that will support them forever.
44.
44. After that, John 14 and 15 again.
It said, he said unto them, these are the words which I have spoken unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled which were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and Psalms concerning me. Then he opened their understanding that they might understand the scripture.
He did what?
Opened their understanding that they might understand the
And what happened after that?
Thus it is written, and thus it behooved Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day, and that repentance and remission of sins should be preached in his name among all nations, beginning in Jerusalem.
And what he told his apostles to do, keep going.
And ye are witnesses of these things, and behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you. But tarry ye in the city of Jerusalem until ye be endued with the power from
Remember, we
on high.
talked about that power. That Ruach is that power, and that Ruach is the changing of your garment. Notice that he told them before to put them strange gods away. Put your sins away and change your garments. So if you put your sins away, then you will be allowed the entrance of the word to enter in to teach you how to separate yourself so that he could be able to teach you, give you the teaching that will breathe the power that will support you for eternity. Does that make sense? I need you to get that John 14 and 15. You see how that is when you talk about changing garments? That's a whole different conversation right there. Ain't it? And both of those two things dealing with him teaching you. One teaching you how to be separate. Then once you taught to be separate, then you can have eternal life breathed in you. See, until you learn how to be separate, how you going to be separate in the Mashiach? It's going to be hard for you to do. John 14 and 15. Make it, 14 and 16. I got to get to the point.
It says, and I pray ye the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Ruach of truth, which whom the world cannot receive.
Why can't the world receive it? Because the world don't allow that word to enter into them to teach them to God and to separate them. Yeah. You got 10 minutes. Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right. No, she all right. They don't play no game. They want you out of here. Come on.
It said, even the Ruach of truth, in whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him.
And he will not what?
But ye know him, for he dwelleth with you,
From the
and
what?
shall be in you. And I will not leave you comfortless.
He will not leave you comfortless
I will come to you.
if you change your garments, right? But you know what? But hallelujah for Yahushua. Let's get up out here, leave these white people alone. To the people on the line and the stream, appreciate you, but we finna slide. All right.